Welcome, fans, to episode 95 of Rangers Ed. This is your host, Cousin Ed. I'm here with my co host, Coach Ed. What's up, Coach?
What's going on? It was a rough couple of games, but they're turning it around a little. So,
I see the laptop still in the doghouse.
yep, sure is.
We got our producer, Mikey, here. What's up, Mikey?
What's up, fellas? And yes, laptop is still in the doghouse. That's on me.
Yeah, and Little Ed's not here. He's at the Philly game tonight, so he may call in at some point. I don't know, but we'll see. So we brought on Mikey 150. What's up, Mikey?
What's going on, boys? Nothing personal, Coach, but I wouldn't know what a rough couple games feels like this season.
Mike, even you couldn't predict this season, Mike.
No, I thought they were going to be a bubble team this year. So
you're telling me, I think even every
don't trust anything I say.
Every analyst on NHL Network said the same thing. I didn't even have to make in the playoffs.
Oh, well, pump the brakes there, Coach. That might have been a little bold.
No, I had him out too, though. I had him out too, Mikey. And it's because, well, this is why. Because the injury, what's the word I'm looking for? The estimation of the injuries to McAvoy and certain players was into November and December, and I was thinking they were going to be 20, 30 games behind, the 8 ball. So when those guys came back, they'd have to acclimate, and then by the time they could get it all together, it'd be too late. That's what I was thinking. But they all came back honestly, pretty quick.
Yeah, if you flip-flop the Bruins in Florida in the standings right now, that's where I thought we'd be at this point in the season.
Yeah, probably.
Except New Jersey's another one, but so anyway, I thought it would be a good idea to bring you on, being that the trade deadline is Friday, and you're our 150 guy. You're a guy with the ears around the league. So I figured we'd bring you on, and this trade deadline has just been insane. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. Have you, Mike?
Craziest in recent memory, that's for sure. I mean, we had 10, 11 trades yesterday, millions of dollars, cap dollars moved. I mean, it's crazy. The East is just like an arsenal that just gets bigger every day.
It's an arms race, and we'll get into some of the impacts of that. We'll start off there, but before we do anything, let's jump right into the jersey numbers sponsored by Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey.
Our buddy Oscar, a huge Rangers fan himself, started his company by stitching his own blue shirts. Once he perfected his craft and started to fall in love with his work, the man started to grow. Oscar stitches every jersey with love and dedication to authenticity, which never disappoints. His talent is hard to find in any store out there. Are you like Cousin Ed? You have a lingering jersey curse that every player he gets a jersey of gets traded or injured and hurts the Rangers team? You want to change things up? You want to take an Eric Lindros jersey and make it a vintage Ken Hodge jersey in the late 70s? Got an old jersey collecting dust in your closet? Want to throw your name on the back and add a nice number of one of your favorite players? You can bring it back to life with a brand new kit at Oscar's Pro Stitch. So head on over to Oscar's Instagram at Oscars PSH. That's OSCARS PSH to check out the countless tarps he's already done and to place the order for his next one that possibly can post on Instagram and get ready to wear it to the next Ranger game or any event that you have coming up. Tell them the boys from Rangers Ed sent you and receive a special discount at Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey. Go get them, Rangers.
Love that Coach Ed ad read. And I love Oscar as well. I got Oscar working on like 8 jerseys for me right now. So we'll see if he can get him, how fast he can get them done. Anyway, so we're gonna talk trade deadline. We're gonna talk about some of the Rangers trades that were recently made. The big news, obviously, the Rangers finally officially acquired Patrick Kane from the Blackhawks. We'll get into this in detail. Then after that, we'll recap some of the games this week and some of the news stories. There's plenty to talk about. We'll do a coach's corner and then head into our stars of the week and trivia. So let's start off with the deadline. So Mikey, we're gonna start off with some Rangers trades. I'm going to go to you first and then Coach and Mikey produces. Obviously, let's talk Patrick Kane. So the Rangers get Patrick Kane at 25%, the cap hit, as well as Cooper Zek. Now, Coach, you can mute yourself because there's going to be like a 5-minute recitation of the trade while I read out the conditions. In exchange, they give up a 2023 second-round pick. Condition on that, is it becomes a 2024 first round pick, which is top 10 protected if the Rangers reach the Eastern Conference Finals this season.
What do you mean top 10 protected?
It means if it falls within the top 10 picks next year, so if the Rangers suck next year and they get the 8th overall pick, it doesn't transfer to Chicago. The Rangers keep it.
Okay.
If that happens and the Rangers keep the pick, so let's say the Rangers make the Eastern Conference Finals this year, and then next year got a horrible year and they pick 5th overall, Chicago would then get our 2025 first round pick, and we'd keep the 2024 first round pick. So a lot moving on, a lot going on there. As well, we also gave up a 2023 4th round pick, which is really not a big deal. Chicago also gets defenseman Ville Saarijärvi from Arizona and Andy Welenski, a Hartford Wolfpack defenseman from the Rangers. Arizona gets a 2025 3rd round pick for retaining 25% of Kane's salary. So Chicago retains 50%, Arizona 25%, and the Rangers 25%. So Mikey P, who wins that trade?
I mean, it's hard to say anything about the Rangers. I mean, did you really give up anything?
I mean, potential first round pick. That's it, really.
But like, how valuable are first round picks these days? I mean, it seems like a lot of GMs around the league have sort of given up on first round picks. It seems like if you're going to make any trade at the trade deadline, the first thing you're asking for is a first round pick, and every GM is willing to give it up. So do you really think that is that much of a loss? If you're in win now mode, which the Rangers are, no doubt about it. If you're in win now mode, I think the Rangers won. I mean, you get Patrick Kane. Yeah, he's got hip problems, but I mean, you really didn't give up a whole lot.
I mean, a first round pick after number 10 isn't much at all.
No, you're absolutely correct.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying the guy can't turn out to be a really good player, but
yeah,
it's a gamble worth taking for a player like Patrick Kane.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Could be another Filipino coach.
Yeah.
The point taken.
But I will say,
so
I've heard this phrase a few times in the last week about the Rangers, and it's that there's only one puck on the ice. And I mean, it's true. You got a lot of guys that are used to being in the spotlight, being on first power play, getting first line minutes. They got a lot of top end talent that's going to be fighting for ice time, and it's I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the Rangers balance all that.
The way I'm looking at it, I understand your point 100% because I'm going to like equate it to like the Yankees when they had all those superstars, and Joe Torre's biggest problem was just figuring out who's playing where and keep peace. Right. Yeah. But I see all their attitudes. I don't see personally, from what I could watch on TV, I don't see any of them having that me attitude.
Yeah.
So I think if everything's successful, they're going to be real happy and they're going to be patting each other on the back, and they all know what the goal is right now. And I don't think they're really going to care much, but we'll see.
That's always sort of been the culture with Rangers hockey. I mean, as an outsider, I don't watch all their games and, watch MSG Network and all that, but anytime you see or hear about the Rangers, it's always sort of that we're in it for the team. There's never really been that whole lot of individualism, at least in the last decade or so.
Right. Before that, there was a little bit of a country club atmosphere in the early 2000s, late 90s, but recently it hasn't been that way.
I mean, Filipino's time on the power play is here and gone. That's for sure.
Well, he might be on the second power play, but look, it's going to be interesting.
There is no way he's out there.
On the second power play, I said.
Yeah, you have 7 forwards that are ahead of him on the power play.
You have, we'll get into it, Coach, in a minute. Okay, hold on. So, first of all, Filipino's third on the Rangers in goals. So, taking him off, why is he automatically off the power play? I mean, that makes no sense. And he's also missed like 10 games, and he's still third of the team in goals, or fourth, whatever. So,
or fifth, whatever.
No, because I think Trocheck may have just passed him with his 2 goals the other day. But anyway, so first round picks are valuable. I mean, after pick 10, no question. I mean, Keandre Miller was a 20-something overall pick. Hedl was a 17th, 18th overall pick. There's plenty of it. Tarasenko himself was a mid-teens pick. So you never know who you're going to get with those picks. But at the end of the day, a 2024 first round pick isn't even going to really hit the NHL until what, 2026 or 2027. I mean, we're not talking about a number 1 or number 5 overall pick. It's going to be a guy who needs a little development. So we're looking at a 4 or 5 years down the road. This guy's going to impact the Rangers. And by then, Panarin's what, like 35, and everyone's. So in my opinion, even though it is some value, it's less value than Kane is worth. So I agree with you. The Rangers
definitely
win that trade, and it's a worthy gamble where the Rangers sit right now. So I just, I jumped. I was so excited to talk about Patrick Kane that I completely forgot to introduce the segment. So, Mikey, produces. Do you agree? Before we introduce the segment, let's wrap up Kane. Give your thoughts on the Kane trade.
Yeah, I mean, total steal. Growing up a Rangers fan, I didn't really follow the league that much, but all the superstars in the league, and Patty Kane was definitely a superstar and still is. So, in my eyes, a complete win for us.
Yeah, and you look around the young Rangers too. They all got interviewed, and Lafreniere grew up idolizing Kane. Hedl grew up idolizing Kane. Kakko grew up idolizing Kane. That has an impact on those players as well to bring him into the locker room. So it's going to be interesting to see how he actually produces on the ice. I think they said, Coach, he's going to play with Panarin and Trocheck. Is that a shocker to you?
Well, that's a projection. I mean,
No, Gallant said it.
Oh, he did say it. Okay, I mean, I only saw Sam Rosen say it, so I didn't know if it was fact. But I mean, you watched the highlights of when they played on Chicago, and it was pretty crazy. Those are only highlights. I mean, but it's going to be. I mean, 3 Stanley Cups, experience of 3 Stanley Cups, all those playoff games. I mean, you listen to guys. There's a coach on NHL that had him in Chicago as an assistant coach. He said his competitive level is insane. His workout regimen's insane. It goes unnoticed, unrecognized in the league. He has that appearance of not caring much and just going out there on sheer talent. But apparently he's, I never really paid much attention to it either. But supposedly they feel he's going to step it up on Broadway and show even more. He's excited. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's won a Conn Smythe Trophy, 3 Stanley Cups, scored a game-winning goal to win the Stanley Cup. This is, you can say whatever you want about him as an analyst, whether he coasts out there, but when the game's on the line, he's proven. Didn't he score an overtime winning goal in the Olympics too? Was that him? Or am I thinking maybe it was Crosby who did it against USA? Never mind. I thought Kane scored a huge goal in the Olympics too in a big stage. So, I mean, the guy lives for the big stage. And there's no question. So I think I'm not worried about that. He's going to be motivated, and I'm excited. But all right, we're going to talk more about Kane later in the episode. Let's introduce the segment. Is it a fleece or is it fair? All right, so let's do this, Mikey. So I'm going to start home for you, Boston Bruins, Washington Capitals, Minnesota Wild. Make a trade. Dmitry Orlov, Garnett Hathaway go to Boston. Craig Smith, Andrei Svetlikov, a 2023 first, a 2025 second, a 2024 third to Washington, and then a 3rd-round pick to Minnesota for them to retain 25%. So what are your thoughts on that trade?
Well, I mean, it's hard to argue with getting a top pair defenseman, 22-minute-a-night guy that's going to play with McAvoy and hopefully get Matt Grzelcyk out of the lineup. So at the same time, you kind of cringe seeing all those picks fly out the window. But, I mean, if there's ever time to win for Boston, it's now. So you got to say win for that without a doubt. And Garnett Hathaway, I mean, you can't tell me you haven't played Washington and just been cursing at that guy for – minutes on end at times. He's one of those guys that you just hate to play against. And that's the type of guy you want in the playoffs. Bottom 6 grinder. You need that depth. You need to get those 4th line minutes. I mean, the Bruins won the Cup in 2011 on the back of their 4th line. I mean, they had the best 4th line in hockey, and that's one of the biggest reasons why they made that run. So I'm a huge believer in bottom 6 forwards, especially in the playoffs. So definite win for Boston.
Yeah, Coach, Garnett Hathaway is like this pain in the ass player who's like, just hustles and he's got a little skill and chips in. He's a bottom 6 guy.
He's
And
like
if he was
fourth line Brad Marchand, basically.
He could fit on a third line too. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
if he was available, I would have loved Drury to go after him. Honestly, he's a perfect playoff player. I agree with you.
He is.
So I don't know, Coach. You know who those players are? Do you want to chime in on that?
I mean, I only know the 2 that went to Boston, and it just beefs up their lineup 100%, and it gives them even more depth. I mean, if one of their third, fourth liners does go down, I mean, Hathaway's going to take enough time where they're not going to worry about anything as far as that goes. You know, they're beefing up their lineup for the playoffs. Any injuries down the stretch. Washington, pretty much, in my eyes, has given up on the season. They made.
I agree, but from Washington's perspective, this was probably an even better trade. I mean, all their defensemen, with the exception of Carlson, their contracts are up at the end of this season.
Right.
So, I mean, they just got 3 picks plus. I mean, Craig Smith is Craig Smith, but, I mean, they just got 3 high picks for someone that they might not have even re-signed. So, great deal for Washington, great deal for Boston. You can't really call an L for either team.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I like that. I like that move for both teams. All right. The other big trade other than Patty Kane that just happened, Timo Meier goes to New Jersey along with 3 guys, Scott Harrington, Timur Ibragimov, Santeri Hataka, Zachary Emond, and a 5th-round pick in exchange for Fabian Zetterlund, Shakir Mukamadulin, Nikita Okatuik. God, I can't say any of these freaking names. Fabian Zetterlund, and a bunch of picks going to San Jose. A 2023 first, a 2024 second that could become a first if New Jersey makes the Eastern Conference Finals this year. Meyer plays 50% of the games, or New Jersey makes the 2024 Eastern Conference Finals. So it could be 2 first-round picks going to the Sharks. Mikey P, who wins this trade? Fair, or is it a fleece by one team?
Well, it depends on if Meyer ends up being a rental or if they re-sign him. I think they have the cap space. I think they're going to be able to re-sign him at the end of this year. I don't think the Devils are going to win this year. I don't think it's their year. They've had a great season, but can any of you guys see them getting through Carolina or Boston or even the Rangers?
I think the goaltending's their weak spot for playoffs.
I do too, and their inexperience up front. They have a lot of good young talent, but it's like the Leafs for the last few years. You know, inexperience in the playoffs, first-round exit. I don't think it's their year. And with regard to the trade, like I said, it depends on if they re-sign him. I think he could be a huge boost. He's not a veteran, but he's been in the league a few years. He knows how to score. He's put up 30-plus goals on a dog shit team with no help. So now he's playing, in New Jersey. He's got tons of talent. They're super fast. They play the game that he plays. So he's going to thrive there. In the Sharks, I mean, they're just wholesale, fire wagon, get rid of everything. So I can't really call an L for either team at this time,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of these trades I think have been beneficial to either team that makes the trade. I don't see anybody saying, I don't see any trades that are saying what they do that for, a lot of assets flying around, a lot of building of draft picks.
What do you guys think? I mean, you're probably playing the Devils in the first round. When you saw that Meyer deal come through, what'd you think? Did you get shits, or is it just like, oh, well,
No, it's a scary thing. He's a power forward. He's a big time player.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if anything, I think that's what the Rangers are lacking. After
Completely agree.
After watching that Washington game, I was like, we're screwed because they have no physicality at all.
Couldn't agree more. I was thinking that today. I was like, man, the Rangers got so much skill in their top 9, but like, where's the Ryan Reeves?
No, there's not.
Where's the grit? It's just not there. And especially with Lindgren hurt, man, you guys are going to struggle down the stretch when these teams are trying to get to the playoffs and they just really start banging. Like when that playoff speed starts hitting in those like 2-3 weeks before the playoffs, it's going to be pretty telling.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at Drury building a team like that. But again, the only difference between, say, the Maple Leafs and the Rangers, in my opinion, is obviously if Igor plays to his standards.
Yeah.
The Leafs never had a goalie like that, so they might get away with that little bit of physicality.
Yeah.
They played a lot better against LA. That was just hard to. That Washington game was just hard to watch. I don't know if you actually watched it.
I think I watched the first couple periods of that. Actually, it was
hard,
tough.
It was hard to watch.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. The Meyer deal just they got to re-sign him. I think he'd fit well with that team, and if they do, that's something that they're lacking. They get all the speed up front, good power forward, like you said.
I don't think they went after him without the notion of re-signing him.
It's just tough. Like I can't see it. He's got a $10.5 million qualifying offer, does he not?
Yes.
That's so much money, man. I don't know. I'm not big. I haven't really looked into the numbers behind it all. I haven't looked at the Devils cap room, but I don't know.
What does that mean? What do you mean a qualifying offer?
So he was on what, a 6-year deal or something, and I think his pay structure was such that he was really light up front. So the first couple of years of his contract was like, $1 million, $2 million, but the average annual value was I can't remember what the average annual value was, but at the end of his contract, the final year was $10.5 million. So in order to make a qualifying offer to him, you're owed the same amount as your most recent salary year. Is that correct?
So when you're a restricted free agent, the team, in order to retain your rights, has to offer you a qualifying offer. It's a 1-year contract, and that amount is a certain percentage more than the last salary you made. So if you look at Timo Meyer's contract, the way it was structured, like Mikey was saying, it was a $6 million a year average annual value. But this season, he made $10 million in actual cash. His first 2 seasons, he only made $700,000. Then he made $4 million last year, and this year $10 million. So his agent set that up so that when even though he'd be a restricted free agent this year, and the team would control his destiny, pretty much they can retain his rights by qualifying him. They'd have to qualify him at $10 million. So he could choose, I don't want an extension, qualify me at $10 million, get another $10 million, and then he'll be unrestricted and he could sign wherever he wants. So he has a lot of power.
He's not a $10 million player, you think?
No, I think 8.5, 9.5. He's that good.
Something like that. That's that's 10 over 10 is like superstar status. And I don't think he's that.
No. I would agree with that. But he's a really good player, and for New Jersey, I think, look, they gave up a lot, but they kept all their prospects. All their top prospects. Kept all of them.
He reminds me of Marian Hossa, Dave Andrechuk, that style, that big, strong guy that just rips shots and is dirty around the net.
Yeah, he's kind of like that. That's a good comparison.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Hossa is a little better defensively, I think. But so interesting, Coach. Shakir Mukhamadullin was the pick the Devils made when the Rangers leapfrogged them to take Braden Schneider. So what happened was, and it's been highly reported, the Devils were set to take Braden Schneider. The Rangers traded up to get Schneider 1 pick ahead of the Devils and pretty much left the Devils like, what do we do? And they drafted Shakir Mukhamadullin, and he's been developing outside the North American professional leagues. And I guess, so he is a pretty good prospect. He was a first-round pick, but they ended up turning him into Timo Meier. So it's no longer that much of a joke, but it was a big joke around the internet, how the Devils panicked.
Well, according to analysts, they showed highlights of him. He's very highly rated.
Yeah, he looks like a good player. But, Braden Schneider's already got, 80 NHL games under his belt or more?
Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, he could be a good pick. He could be a good pick for the Sharks.
Definitely.
I think he's like 6'6", 170 pounds or something. They said he's got to put on a little weight.
That's worse than Kravtsov.
Yeah.
We'll get to Kravtsov. So, all right, next trade. Tampa Bay Lightning acquire Tanner Jeannot from Nashville. Big power forward, at over 20 goals last year. He only got 5 this year. In exchange, they give up prospect Cal Foote, former first-round pick, as well as, ready? A 2023 third, fourth, and fifth, a 24 second, and a 2025 first, which is top 10 protected from Tampa. Tampa gives up 5 draft picks, pretty much a whole draft class, plus Cal Foote for Tanner Jeannot, a bottom 6 forward. Mikey P, who wins that trade?
I didn't even believe this when I saw it. I thought somebody was messing with me. They just gave up 5 draft picks for a bottom 6 forward.
Crazy.
Like, are you kidding me?
I take back my previous statement saying that no one really lost out after this.
This was just comical. Like, all these trades have been mind blowing, and then this came across the board, and I was like, "There's no way. This has to be somebody at Sportsnet and like messing around with the teleprompter or something." Like this was a horrible trade. I think this was an impulsive move by Tampa. Like see, like you said, it's the arms race in the East. Everyone's making these blockbuster deals. It's like it seems like the next biggest deal is like, anyway. I just felt like the Lightning had to do something, and this was an impulsive move. And I don't agree with it. I don't like it one bit.
I'm going to agree with Mikey P. I mean, The only one licking his chop, not the only one. One of the guys licking his chops. If this is Barry Trotz, because he's able to build his team. He's got I think they got draft picks from another trade too.
They got a bunch of draft picks.
They're going to load it up, and he's going to have a good. He's going to be having some fun.
Yeah, I think so. So, look, the counter to that people are saying is that this is another one of those Tampa trades where they pick up this bottom 6 skilled power forward. Like they picked up Brandon Hagel, Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman. They overpay every single year for these guys. And it's because they identify a specific kind of player they want for the playoffs. They have control over Jeannot beyond this season. And he's affordable. So for them, they're in a cup window now. They don't really care. A 2025 first round pick to them, they're going to be way out of like contention by 2030 in their mind. This is the roster they need to win with now. So they're just mortgaging the future. They're at a point where the Rangers will be probably in 3 or 4 years where this, they'll just be giving up everything because everyone's going to be aging out of contention in a short period. So you can defend it with that argument, but I agree. I mean, this is way too much. Even if you want to overpay for Tanner Jeannot, this is just way of an overpayment. Yeah. Way too much of an overpayment.
You should have got like 3 Tanner Jeannots for that.
Yeah, and it's funny because the next trade I'm bringing up was a trade just made today, a few hours ago, that actually Little Ed broke for us. One of the few trades I didn't break. I just want to compare these two trades. Jacob Chikrin goes to Ottawa from Arizona in exchange for a top 5 protected first round pick this season from Ottawa, a 2024 second and a 2026 second. And that's it. That's all Jacob Chikrin goes for. After all what was it, 2 years of rumors about Jacob Chikrin being traded, all the demands that Arizona wanted, a prospect, a roster player. They wanted Lafreniere. They wanted Kakko. They wanted all this crap for him. After all that, they get a first, a second, and a third. And meanwhile, Nashville gets a first, a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth, and Cal Foot for Tanner Jeannot. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Unbelievable.
That's wild. But anyway, Mikey, who wins the Jacob Chikrin trade?
I love that trade, man. The Ottawa Senators, I love that team. I don't know if you guys have watched any Sens games, but man, they're just chock full of young talent, and Chikrin's going to fit in there like he's going to be seamless. They're a fantastic team to watch. They're fast. They bang in the corners. They got Claude Giroux. He's a fantastic leader. Yeah, they're a great team to watch, and they think that they can make the playoffs this year. Like they think they can squeeze into one of those wild card spots.
I couldn't believe how they beat up on Detroit 2 games in a row.
Man, they're a great team. They have some defensive liabilities, and they're weak between the pipes. But they have Cam Talbot.
I wouldn't say they're a great team. I mean, I'd say they're incomplete, but they're going to be really good soon. They're going to be really good soon.
Definitely. Yeah.
I mean, you look at it, they're 5 points out of a playoff spot. Those 2 wins against Detroit, coach, like you said, move them ahead of Detroit technically in the standings. I mean, they're right there. They're 5 points out of a playoff spot behind Pittsburgh. They're right there with Buffalo and Florida and Detroit, Washington. So it's going to be a nice, fun battle for that wild card spot.
Detroit actually re-signed Larkin. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah. They signed him 8 years, $8.7 million, which is more than Zibanejad got. Do you think he's worth more than Zibanejad?
Big yikes on that one.
It's only 200. It's only $200K more. It's not that big a deal.
He's a franchise player for them.
Yeah. So anyway, so you think Ottawa wins that trade, Mikey?
Definitely.
Coach, you
They're
like the
just
Chikrin
building.
move for Ottawa?
Without a doubt. I mean, like you just said, look what they gave up for Jano, and that should have been their flip-flop trade. They should have got all those picks for Chikrin.
I agree.
You
If
know,
you flip those trades, it makes a little more sense to
yeah.
me.
So, I mean, I never really watched Chikrin that much, only when they played the Rangers. But all the highlights, the guy's a dynamic defenseman, and that's all you're getting. He's like a number one defenseman on number two on a lot of teams. Say
The only thing I can think of from Arizona's perspective is Ottawa's first round pick, even top 5 protected, is probably worth more than a lot of other teams because they're going to be, they even though they were saying they could push that wild card spot, they're currently not in a wild card spot. So they're probably like 12th overall right now or something. So that pick could end up 8th overall or something like that, and that's pretty valuable.
Yeah, but you're getting a number one pick type of player, and you're getting a question mark number one pick in return.
Well,
So
it's the mystery box. Didn't you ever see that on Family Guy?
But they should have got more than that one number one pick.
Did you ever see that on Family Guy?
No.
You can either have a boat or you can have a mystery box. And Peter says, a boat's a boat, but a mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. That's the draft pick.
Yeah, I know
logic.
It's a gamble to take, but whatever,
So yeah, you can get a boat like Jacob Chikrin. You get the boat, right? Because with that draft pick, you're hoping to get a Jacob Chikrin. So I think it's a good move for Ottawa as well. I agree. All right, let's move to Toronto. Toronto made a bunch of trades. I mean, they're loading up too, so they're getting ready for the Tampa series. We're not going to talk about all the trades, but let's talk about the Jake McCabe, Sam Lafferty trade, Mikey. So Lafferty and McCabe go to Toronto. Chicago retains 50% of McCabe's salary, which goes beyond this season. So they retain McCabe more than just this season. It's not just a rental. They also get a couple of 5th-round picks in exchange for Pavel Gogolev, Joey Anderson, a 2025 first-round pick, and a 2026 second. And that 2025 first is top 10 protected. So who wins that trade?
Well, it's hard to say who wins because Toronto, they're in win now mode more so than I think anybody in the entire league. Like Kyle Dubas is playing for his job right now in terms of his role as a GM, and so he'd sign anybody if they would help the Leafs win. And the bottom line is the Leafs need defense and they need help between the pipes. And Jake McCabe's a gritty defenseman. I mean, they have Morgan Riley, who's a force offensively. He's a good defenseman as well. But outside of that, I mean, can you name another Leafs defenseman?
Well, they just got Luke Shen too, don't forget.
Well, yeah, we haven't got there yet. Let's pump the brakes, Coach.
Well, I'm just saying. So
I wasn't even going to cover the Luke Shen trade because we'll be here for 4 hours if I cover every
I don't
trade
even think Luke Shen's going to play much, to be honest. I think he's a contingency plan, but
he's still a veteran type player.
Yeah, in the Jack Johnson mold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So back to McCabe, though, or McCann, rather.
McCabe.
Good Lord. I'm confusing the players. He's great. He plays in all 3 areas of the ice. He's good, defensively. He can move the puck out of his zone, and he's good offensively. He's not a dynamo on the offensive end of the ice, but the Leafs don't need that. They need someone who's solid on the back end. He blocks a lot of shots. He hits a lot, and he'll fill a void on the Leafs roster. So it's definitely a win for them, considering they're all in for the Cup this year. They got to beat Tampa. Tampa's got 3 really good lines that the Leafs got to get through, and
I love that trade for Toronto for a lot of reasons. Yeah. The main reason I like it is Jake McCabe. They have him for 3 years at $2 million this year and 2 more, and Lafferty they have next year as well at a good cap hit. So it's more than just rentals. And the first round pick they gave is 2-3 years, 3 drafts from now. So
and don't forget they lost Jake Muzzin at the beginning of the year. They didn't really see that one coming, and he went out. What was it, a spinal injury or something? And they lost him long term, and that left a really big hole in their lineup that they did not foresee this season. So I think this really took a while to remedy it, but the
trades keep coming in. You see this? Pittsburgh gets Mikhail Granlund for a 2nd round pick. It's just the trades just keep coming. I would love to see maybe either Mikey Produces. Maybe you could do this for us. I want to know how many teams have made trades in the last 10 days and how many trades each team has made. Because I guarantee you it's got to be like 20-something teams have made a trade. I don't even know. I feel like only a few teams haven't actually jumped into this fray yet.
Getting back to the Toronto trade, to me, that one of the biggest parts of that trade is Lafferty. He's another one of those pain in the ass type of players.
Yep.
Gritty type of playoff player. Maybe he doesn't have that experience, but watching him against the Rangers, he's one of those get under your skin type of players. And maybe that's what Toronto lacks a little bit also. And those
against Tampa, they're going to need that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of that trade. I think that's going to be a key part.
Well, it's tough to. The only issue I have with that, not an issue, but where does he fit in the lineup? It's kind of the same situation with the Rangers. You know, you got 3 lines that are highly skilled, and you just brought over a 4th liner in Nola Chari with the O'Reilly deal. So, you know, it's like, where does he fit in the lineup?
Yeah, he'll fit on the 4th line. He'll fit on the 4th line.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, but he's a bottom sixer. They'll fit him in the lineup.
Yeah.
All right. Again, we could be here all night. Big trade, franchise legend for the Los Angeles Kings and defeating the Rangers in the 2014 Stanley Cup Finals. Jonathan Quick is no longer a Los Angeles King. He goes to the Columbus Blue Jackets with a 2023 first and a 2024 third for Vladislav Gavrikov and Eunice Korpisalo. Mikey P.
Look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news to all you LA fans out there that are screaming about doing Jonathan Quick dirty. You just got an awesome defenseman and a top tier goalie. Like, LA's in a position to make a run in the playoffs. Like, let's not kid ourselves. The West is soft this year. Like, anybody could come out of the West and it wouldn't be a surprise.
Charmin soft.
Yeah, and LA thinks they can win. So, like, sorry, it sucks that Jonathan Quick got shipped out at the trade deadline. He is an LA legend. He's going to have a statue, 100%, going to the Hall, 100%. But, like, Vladislav Gavrikov is a great defenseman. And Korpisalo was fantastic last year for Columbus, and Columbus was terrible. So, I mean, it was a great trade. LA won on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Particularly because they protected the pick if they missed the playoffs. So the first round pick doesn't transfer if the Kings miss the playoffs. It's contingent on that. And Jonathan Quick hasn't been good for a few years, you know. And look, I don't like doing franchise legends dirty. I didn't like what the Rangers did to Lundqvist. I think if the Kings, I think they did do him dirty. You know, I think Jonathan Quick's the loser of this trade. He goes to Columbus, Ohio, to a bottom feeder team. You know, and it doesn't appear that he was even told this was happening or that they were considering it. So I think they did do him dirty, but from a business perspective, and Rob Blake, he played the game as a guy, just, you know, a business mindset, like just taking care of business. That's how he runs the Kings. He just did it. He's cold-blooded, man, just made the trade. He thought it was best for the organization. So I can understand it from that perspective too. But if the Rangers did something like that to Hank, who never won a cup for us, but is still a franchise legend, let alone won 2 Stanley Cups. I mean, I would be a little upset too. Coach, what do you think?
I'm with you where I'm more like a traditionalist. I feel they should, like they screwed Messier way back. I feel like they should owe something to them. But you know what? If these guys want these big salaries and they want to be the hero, then it is a business, and they gotta take it. That's the way it is, unfortunately. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword. They got to do what's best for the team. And like Mike said, they feel like they can make somewhat of a run, so they got to do what's best for the team.
I agree. I can understand it from that perspective.
I feel bad too. I understand what you're saying, but you know, you got to understand it's a business situation, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, I think the Kings win that trade, Mike. I agree.
Yeah, Quick's not going to say, "Oh, you know what?" Like Henrik wasn't going to say, "Oh, let me just take $1 million a year. I'll stay with the Rangers." They want to make more money, and they want to, you know. So then you got to say when it's not good for us business wise, and that's it.
Yeah. All right. So before I ask you if there's any other trades you wanted to bring up, Mikey, I just want to get your thoughts on who won these trades. They happened before the last episode. The Tarasenko trade to the Rangers. Who won that trade?
Rangers will win now. Rangers won that for sure. I mean, can't argue with the addition of Vladimir Tarasenko. Anyone that does is nuts.
Yeah, I thought that was a fair trade, honestly. I think the Blues got good value for those guys. What about the O'Reilly trade to Toronto with Achari? They gave up a first, a third, a second, Abramov, and Gaudette.
Love it. For Toronto, I hate the Leafs. Like, with all of my soul, I hate the Leafs, but it's a great trade for them. I mean, they're very poor on the defensive end of the red line, and O'Reilly, he's not having a great season this year. It's his worst statistical season, in the last decade or so. But man, he's in a place where he doesn't need to be the guy, and he'll beef up that team's defensive capabilities. And with Jake McCabe back there now and Noel Acciari, he's another player that's great defensively. He was in Boston for a while. It's a fantastic trade. I mean, the Leafs are basically buying at the deadline to beat Tampa, and then they're just going from there.
Yeah, they really need to win in the first round. If they don't win in the first round this year,
it's going to be anarchy.
Does Dubas even have a contract beyond the season?
I'm not sure. There's no way he's part of the Leafs organization if he doesn't get out of the first round this year. If they don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I don't think Dubas is in that building next year.
Oh, that's a bold statement. Yeah,
I mean, Ryan O'Reilly getting on that team, they don't even need him to score. They need him to play against guys like Stamkos. They need him to be that
Bergeron.
Yeah, Bergeron when they get to Boston. They need him to be that player.
Yep.
That's going to be a tough defensive player, like Mike said. That's that's what they need. They don't need any more scoring.
Yep, couldn't agree
more.
We got
go for it.
Yeah, no, we got a little special guest waiting to get logged on real quick.
Oh, special guest. Oh,
there
what's up? What's going on?
I can't really hear you guys, but we're live here at Wells Fargo.
Oh, damn. Look at those seats.
I went to log in before and the Flyers scored, so that would have been horrible timing. But here's Ben. Timing.
What's up, Ben?
I recognize Ben from the rivalry tour. But yeah, it's a little disappointing that Kane's not making his debut tonight. But I'm rocking the Kane jersey anyway. I got a lot of comments on it so far. People can't believe I already got a Kane jersey, but Team USA all the way. All right, I'll sign off. I can't really hear you guys. Have a good rest of the episode. Love you, fans.
Later.
Oh, I love that.
That's great.
Yeah, hilarious. That's awesome. Wow. Technology's amazing, right, Coach?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Anyway, so Toronto, we were talking about the Maple Leafs. So they got O'Reilly, Achari, Luke Shen, Eric Gustafsson, Jake McCabe, and Sam Lafferty. That's a lot. That's a lot, man. They added a lot, and they only moved out Rasmus Sandin from and Pierre Engvall from the roster. So, I mean, that's looking like this is their shot. They're going for it. They're going to shoot it. And plus, they also have to win to keep Austin Matthews, who's going to be a free agent soon. So, all right. And then the last one I wanted your impact on, your opinion on, was Bo Horvat to the Islanders for Beauvillier, Atu Reti, and a first-round pick.
Do you guys think Horvat's worth $8.5 million? I sure don't.
I don't. No, I don't.
No, not at all. I think that was a terrible deal. Like, Lou is just I don't know. He's such a weird GM. He's old. He's outdated, basically. He's like one of them computer screens that's the black with the green text. He's just like not living in the modern era. It's like,
I have one of those.
Well, I don't think you're part of this era either.
What was he thinking giving up, the Islanders' top prospect, their first round pick this year, and they're not even in a playoff spot? Yes, it was somewhat protected. And Beauvillier, whatever. But, I mean, what are you thinking doing that for Horvat and then giving him Zibanejad money?
I mean, you can understand why he went after Horvat. Like, the Islanders can't score goals. They need somebody that can play with Barzal, that can score and play at Barzal's pace. And
is he even playing with Barzal?
No, I don't think so.
He's not.
Like, which was why I was even more confused. Like, my first thought was, all right, they're going to kick it in overdrive. They're going to let Barzal, they're going to take the chains off Barzal and finally let him play offense. And then they're not even playing together. And I don't know. It just seemed like a very reactionary move. He had that press conference like, a week or so before the deal where he said, that it was his fault that the team wasn't doing well because he didn't build it properly. And then, he just went out and signed Horvat or traded for Horvat. And I don't know.
Did you see the interview he gave when they said, how much was the contract or something, and the numbers weren't reported yet? His response was, too much for too many years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's funny though. I'll give him that. He's a Hall of Famer and a legend. So
yeah,
I agree. He's done. He should retire. Yeah. How old is he now?
He's like almost 80 years old.
He's got to be older than Sam Rosen.
Let me tell you though, the fact that Matt Martin's on the first line with Bo Horvat is just
comical. Yeah. That's like a throwback to the Gretzky days.
Oh my God!
It's like
I'm watching the Islander
Dave Semenko.
I'm watching the Islander game the other night just to see what's going on, and Butch Goring's like, Matt Martin's got 4 shots tonight. I'm like, if that's your best part of the game, then you're in trouble.
Time to grab Matt Martin on my fantasy team, getting first line minutes.
He's not scoring; he's got shots. That's it.
No, but if your league counts hits, it's worth
shots and hits, baby. I'll take that.
I'm not saying I wouldn't want him on the 3rd or 4th line, maybe, but I mean, he's on your first line. I mean, Ed, if you were an Islander fan, you'd be losing it.
It's a yikes.
That's a big yikes. Yeah. All right, Mikey.
I just wanted to confirm he is 80 years old.
80
he was born in 1942.
Look at Mikey looking stuff up during the episode, man.
That'd be my mom's age.
Yeah, my grandma was born in 42. My other grandma too. So that's weird. They were born the same year, both grandmas. Anyway, all right, Mikey P. Before we let you go, is there any other trade you wanted to bring up that you thought was impactful or anything? Because I look, we'll be here for 4 hours going through these.
Yeah,
trades.
there's one, maybe 1.5 that I thought were pretty interesting. Just Ivan Barbashev going to Vegas. That was a good trade for Vegas. He can play first line minutes. He can play with Jack Eichel, especially with Mark Stone going down. They need someone that can fill up top, score goals. He played top line minutes in that 2019 playoff run, and he was unbelievable.
So he can play bottom 6 too, and bottom 6 too.
Yep. Yeah. And then another trade that it was kind of, I don't think anybody would have really noticed it. The Bruins traded Keith Kincaid to the Avalanche, and they got back Will Lockwood. So Georgiev on Colorado plays every single game. And who's their backup there? Francois or something? He's been out for months, and they do not have a serviceable backup goalie. And so they just picked up Keith Kincaid from Boston, who is a serviceable backup in the NHL. And if the Avs are going to make a run this year, which they think they can, and they definitely can, because like we said, the West is soft. They need a backup goalie. They need to get Georgiev some rest before the playoffs, because the playoffs just beat the crap out of everyone, including the goalies. So I think that was a great trade for Colorado. Rest Georgiev before they get into the playoffs.
Well, you got Shane Bowers. Will Lockwood was the guy the Rangers got for Kravtsov.
Oh, was it Bowers? Yeah, sorry.
Shane Bowers, yeah. But anyway. Interesting. How funny would it be if Colorado goes into the playoffs with Georgiev and Kincaid, who were both Rangers last year? Kincaid was.
I don't even know if he'll get minutes with them, but
that's their goalies.
That was my first thought.
Their number 1 and 2 goalies will have been the Rangers' 2 and 3 goalies last year. That's interesting. Yeah, that kind of flew under the radar there.
Yeah.
All right. I skipped one. The Ekholm trade was a big trade too to Edmonton.
That was a good one. Yeah, but like they gave up Tyson Barrie, who's like the quarterback of their power play. Like he's super close with McDavid and Draisaitl. So it's one of those things where it's a player versus your team's chemistry, and you're kind of messing with some things. I don't know. I mean, they had to do something. The Oilers had to do something. Look at McDavid's going to win the Hart Trophy like twice over this year. He's freaking unbelievable.
They have to go for it every year until he
retired. They got to give her full send. So, I mean, they need someone that can play defense. They can't keep the puck out of their own net. So they need someone behind Nurse in that lineup. And I think Ekholm's a good player. He's solid. I mean,
how about Carolina getting Pulimanjari?
Puliarvi? I mean, yet another failed first-round Edmonton Oilers draft pick.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's a good move for Carolina. Buy low on him. He's a big forward. Yeah. He's still pretty young. Why not? Take a shot.
Yeah.
Carolina failed former.
Didn't Carolina just make another deal today?
Today?
Yeah, they got a defenseman.
Oh, they got Gostisbehere, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, Coach, there has been about 50 trades in the last 2 days. I mean,
they were talking about it before. They were raving about Gostisbehere power play abilities. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, he's
if
good.
you talk to Flyers fans, he didn't do anything, but
he's a little overrated. But he can move the puck and he can skate. Speaking of former first round picks, we didn't bring it up yet, Coach. Vitaly Kravtsov did not survive the trade deadline. He goes to Vancouver for William Lockwood and a 2026 seventh round pick. William Lockwood.
Great trade.
So what's the problem? They got more than I expected.
William Lockwood is not an NHL prospect. He is projected to be an AHL player. And a 2026 seventh round pick is pretty much nothing.
I told you months ago that his days were numbered as a Ranger. He's not going to play. He's not a Drury player, and Gallant certainly wasn't going to play him. I don't care what he said in press conferences or quotes in the paper. It just wasn't in the stars for him.
So interesting about this trade, before I ask you guys what you think of it generally. So Kravtsov got interviewed when he got to Vancouver, and they asked him, what do you bring to the team? Like, what do you like about your game? And his English was pretty good, so I think he understood the question. And he just started laughing, and he said, I don't know. I just go out there and try and play. And my number one thought was, well, maybe it's a translation issue. But my second thought was, if he laughed and responded, he probably understood. You don't describe like your abilities to like specifically about that. You just say, I go out there and play. Very odd response. Then they asked him, what does he need to do to improve? And he said, hit the gym. So I guess the Rangers installed, put that into his head. And they asked him about his time in New York, and he said, I'm going to leave that there. I have nothing but good things to say about the Rangers, and I had a good time in their organization. So he said the right things. He didn't badmouth the team, but he did say, I'm going to leave it there. So we'll find out one day what he actually thinks. I'm sure he's got a lot to say. But look, as far as the value, I think what really happened here, I think Kravtsov is worth more than that in a trade. I think what happened here is the Rangers wanted to get Patrick Kane. In order to do that, they had to get Kravtsov off the roster as soon as possible to clear the cap space so they can accrue the daily cap hit that Kravtsov was taking and use that for Kane. And teams around the league knew that. And Drury was pretty much just like, please, somebody take him so I can get Patrick Kane. Somebody take him, because he didn't want to haggle. He didn't have time to haggle. So Vancouver just took advantage of that and said,
Drury was on the phone, and he's just like, they're like, Chris, they want to give us this. Yeah, just take him. Just go.
Yeah. Just get rid.
Shut up and take my money.
He didn't even know who it was. Yeah. Just go.
Zero,
I'm on the
zero
phone
cap.
Chicago GM. Go.
Yeah, so I think it was connected to that.
But why would Chicago take him?
Well, so Chicago may have wanted him, but the problem is the Rangers couldn't wait until Wednesday or Tuesday night to move him to Chicago. They would have had to trade him to Chicago for like nothing on Saturday and then wait till the salary cap is just getting so stupid, dude. Like the things that teams have to do now, the salary cap is just so dumb. Like they need to adjust something, but I don't know. And especially Mikey produces when we read, I'm reading about the Giants and they're like, they're going to restructure Leonard Williams' contract. And I'm like, why can't we restructure guys' contracts? Like, why can't the Rangers in the offseason go to Barclay Goodrow and be like, all right, we just paid you 2 years at X amount of money. We need to lower your cap hit. We'll give you an extra year and take $1 million off your Will you do that? And then the teams mutually agree to adjust a contract. Why can't they do that?
I don't see why either. To me, it's like almost like a monopoly. It's weird.
It's gonna happen. They're gonna have to.
Mikey P, what do you think? Do you think that I'm off base here? I mean, the NFL does. The NBA has a softer cap rules. I mean, why is the NHL so hard about it?
I don't know. I don't see a downside to adding in contract restructuring.
Yeah, especially if a guy
make the trade deadline even more interesting.
Yeah, especially if a guy like, you pay him 8 years. Like, let's say JT Miller just got an 8-year deal, right? He's 30 years old. Let's say in 5 years he sucks. He's declining. So maybe he wants to stay where he is. He doesn't want to get released or waived or traded. So he's like, all right, I'll take a pay cut, throw an extra year on my deal. right? And you say, and then the team's like, all right, now you're getting paid appropriately. What's the harm in that? I don't know. I think they're worried that teams like Boston are going to restructure everyone to $1 million every year. Bergeron,
We don't need to.
take
They're
$1 million.
already all at $1 million.
I know.
Yeah, our top 2 centers are getting paid a combined $3.5 million. That's ridiculous.
What does Bergeron make? $1 million?
Bergeron's at $1 million. Krejci's at 1.5 or 2.5.
That's such BS, dude. I can't believe Bergeron's making $1 million.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Bergeron's at 2.5. You had to flip.
Bergeron's 2.5.
You had to flip. And Krejci's at 1. That's so ridiculous, bro.
Unbelievable.
Are you kidding me? Unreal.
They want to win, man. It's the same core that Krejci, Bergeron, Marchand that's been there since 2011, and they want to win.
I mean, Patrice Bergeron makes less money than Nick Foligno.
He makes less money than most people on the team. He makes less money than Brandon Carlo.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal. Well, hopefully Patty Kane does that for the Rangers next year and takes like a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. I would love that.
Yeah. That would be great. Hey, what's going to happen to John Klingberg? Watch out for him. He's going to move in the next couple of days. I meant to bring that up.
Who the hell wants him?
I don't know, but he's got to go. He's got to go. Someone's going to grab him. Imagine if he went back to Dallas.
And Anaheim got so unlucky.
Yeah.
That was a good move by them to move him at the deadline, but he's washed.
Yeah, he is. He's totally washed.
Someone's gonna rue the day.
Someone's gonna make a mistake.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, Mikey. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. Appreciate it. I figured this would be more fun than you just rambling off all these trades in 4 minutes.
Yeah, I had 3 pages of names that half of them I can't even pronounce. So thanks for biting that bullet for me.
You think I know. You think the Rangers and Bruins are both done? They both don't seem to have any cap space left. So.
No, I think they're both done. I think you might see another move out of Edmonton, but I don't know. I don't really see many more trades happening.
Yeah, it looks like Friday's deadline day on NHL Network is going to be pretty boring.
Yeah. Everyone blew it.
Happening.
Yeah. Right on. Thanks for having me on, boys. Appreciate it.
All right, Mike. Good job.
Always.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Talk again soon.
To you, buddy. Talk soon. All right, that was Mikey P helping us out with the Fleece or Fair segment in place of the 150 this week. Trade deadline is always fun, and it's always fun to talk hockey, even if it's not Rangers. But let's focus in on the Rangers here. So, Coach, before we talk about these games, let's sum up so far pretty much what the Rangers have done. I mean, we've added Tarasenko, Nico Mikkola, Tyler Mott, Patrick Kane, and we've given up a bottom 5 pick in the first round, Julian Gauthier, Vitaly Kravtsov, a second, and then another second round pick, possibly another first round pick in a later year. I mean, you talk about all in, pushing your chips into the middle, right? I mean, you happy with Drury's doing? I'm sure you are.
I mean, come on. We thought he did a good job last year. I mean, even if Tarasenko and Kane aren't on the Rangers next year, they still have their solid core of a team. It's a great job. I have a question though before I forget to ask you. What goes on with the fact that Schneider's on the bench and he can't play?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm glad you brought that up. So,
because I was so confused and they never explained it.
Yeah, well, Sam and Joe tried to explain it, even though they didn't know why. They were incorrect. They were saying that he can't play because the Rangers need to save money on the cap, which is technically true, but it's an incomplete explanation. So Schneider sitting on the bench and not playing does not save the Rangers any money in the cap. What it does is it prevents an injury. If he gets injured at all, and let's say he's day-to-day or anything, he cannot be demoted to Hartford. You cannot demote or waive a player who's injured. So the Rangers were needed to send him down to Hartford in order to accrue cap space for Kane. If he got hurt, they would have been screwed. They wouldn't have been able to get Kane because they wouldn't have been able to send him down. But they had to dress a full lineup to be compliant. So they dressed a full lineup. And obviously, what if 4 defensemen ended up getting hurt or something? You know, I mean, then maybe you had to do it. You had to take the risk. So he dressed. But it had nothing. It didn't have it saved the Rangers any money on that day. It just enabled them to send him to Hartford without injury. Same with Carpenter. That's why he didn't play either.
Yeah, I know. Both of them. I forgot Carpenter to mention Carpenter also, but I was like, what the hell is going on? I can't believe that you could dress him and it doesn't go towards the cap.
No, that's not the rule. It does. Yeah, it does. It does. Being towards the cap is being on the NHL roster. A guy like Kravtsov counted against the cap, and he hasn't dressed in a month and a half. You know,
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you don't play. It just prevents the injury. So it was just making sure he's not injured, so he could be demoted to Hartford. He also took that like a champ. After the game, by the way, speaking of Schneider not playing, did you see him go up to Shesterkin and congratulate him? And you could read their lips. He says, "Great game," and laughs. And then Shesterkin goes, "You too."
No, I didn't get to see that really.
I love that kind of stuff.
Well, that's what
So,
I'm
yeah.
saying. The Rangers as a whole, like last year and this year, their attitude, from what I could see visually, is, definitely in a team group effort. And I don't see any individualism really.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's pretty wild. Like, we look at these moves, and I'm just looking at this team. And the top 9 has got to be one of the best top 9s in the NHL. I mean, Tarasenko, Kreider, Banajad, Panarin, Trocheck, Kane, the kid line. That's ridiculous.
They
I mean,
just
it's just
the only thing that scares me is they're lacking that little bit of grit. You played Washington, you got banged around. And
well, you need Kreider to bring that. You need Laffy to bring that. They have to bring it.
I know. Are they going to? I don't see
Kreider
Kreider doing it. He's still, even after that Washington game, he didn't do any. He doesn't do it.
Last year was an aberration, Coach.
That's the part that scares me. We lack that little bit of. I'm not saying fighting. I'm saying toughness. I could not believe against the Capitals that Trouba didn't throw a hit or something. I saw no big hit.
They bullied the Rangers. They did.
It was unwatchable.
I agree. It was hard to watch. So, I mean, that's the thing. So when you talk about grit, our fourth line's pretty gritty. Mott, Gaudreau, and VC. I like that fourth line. There's no tough guy, but that's a gritty line.
They're going to hit. They're definitely going to hit. And, Trocheck's going to hit. But you got a guy that's going to hit Tom Wilson. You got a guy that's going to take it.
Trouba. That's it.
I know. That's it. It's tough.
Yeah, I agree. That is something that's lacking. It does worry me, but we'll see. There's so much skill. They're going to have to just outscore guys and get great goaltending. And that's just the way it's going to be. I mean,
Shesterkin, if he comes back to even near his form for the end of the season in the playoffs, I think they're in really good shape.
Yeah, that's a big key factor. He's really been struggling, but he seemed to right the ship against LA on Sunday. He played really well. And he gave up 2 goals, but I thought it was a good game for him to get back on track. I mean, he gets pulled from the Washington game. He's really been struggling. Next day, no Halak, right into Shesterkin. So we'll see. I think you're right. That's going to be a key factor. But let's talk about this playing with the cap thing, like you're talking about with Schneider, and how it affects the lineup. I mean, now they're talking about they might. And I'm not watching the Philly game, but they might have to dress Lindgren tonight. Well, the game's on right now. I don't know if he dressed. Does anyone know if he dressed? He might have to dress and sit.
I watched most of the first period. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I was reading that. I mean, Mike, can you just look up if he dressed? I'm curious. This kind of crap, like they really got to fix this. It's just an annoyance at this point. I mean, why can't the Rangers just call up a defenseman because Miller got suspended? Like, they can't just call up a guy who makes league minimum and have it like just fill in for the suspended guy. It's ridiculous. It's insane to me. I find it wild.
I think it's another conundrum with the NHL. I talk about a lot of contradictions they have with the way they call things and the kicking of the puck and all that. It's just another thing with the NHL. It's like a spiteful thing against the Players Association. There's always been a rift between the Players Association and the owners, as long as I can remember as a kid growing up, there was always this rift. And I think it's just a constant battle that it's got to have something to do with, with that. What else could it be? That it doesn't make any sense.
I agree. So we have this LA game. Schneider sits. He's not playing to avoid injury. Keandre Miller gets thrown out of the game in a match penalty for spitting on Drew Doughty. We'll get into that in a little more detail. Rangers are down to 4 defensemen: Ben Harper, Mikkola, Trouba, and Fox. Trouba plays 29 minutes. Harper plays 28 minutes. And Trouba with the 3rd star of the game, Fox the 2nd star of the game. Probably just for the gutsy performance of playing that much. I mean, Coach, what are your thoughts on Trouba and Harper pretty much pairing up? Like, what do they have? Mikkola with Fox and Trouba with Harper. That was it. That was their D.
Against a team that we were just talking about might make some noise in the playoffs. They're not a pushover team. It's not like they did it against Phoenix.
No. Mikey P produces. What do you think? Can't call you Mikey P because we just have another Mikey P on.
Yeah, no, it was insane. I actually was at that game against Dallas, so to see that was actually pretty awesome.
Against LA?
LA, excuse me, yes, against the Kings. And to answer your question, Lindgren did not dress tonight.
He didn't. So they dressed 5D?
Correct.
Okay. Wild. Wow. 5D's not too bad. They'll be fine with 5D. Yeah, so I mean, you're a fan in the stands at that game. I didn't know you went to the game. That's awesome. I would have brought that up earlier. But so you went to the game and you see, Miller gets ejected. Are you aware in the stands like, hey, Schneider's not playing? Like, what the hell's going on? Like, you wondering what's happening?
No clue about Schneider. They didn't even announce anything about. Obviously, they said that Miller got ejected for the game, but that's why I was texting you guys in the group asking what happened.
Oh,
they didn't show any replays. They didn't say what happened or anything. So
wow, wild, just a wild game. Also in that game, Vinny Trocheck, 2 goals. He also had the Rangers' lone goal against Detroit. He's really been coming on, not just putting the puck in the net, but just his overall game. I think has been awesome. He's up to 19 goals and 47 points this year, filling that second line center spot. And now, Coach, he takes this little hot streak he's got, putting some points on the board. And even, again, I say this, I'm glad he's getting points, but even if he had 0 points, the way he's playing is awesome. He's just really playing well. Now he gets to play with Patrick Kane and Artemi Panarin. Is this a good sign that his hot streak will continue? I mean,
he's been finding ways all year to be in the right position. How many times did we say he hit 2 posts? He hit this, he hit that.
Yeah.
He's been playing tough all year. Second on the team in hits, I think we were talking about, and he's a good player. He's a good player. I mean, he had a couple of bad games here and there, but we're gonna see. It's gonna be exciting to see.
Yeah, and I think in the playoffs, he's going to be a big key piece for the Rangers. A big upgrade on Ryan Strome as far as playoffs go. Strome was good, great for the Rangers, but different style player. So before we get into Miller, the last thing I want to bring up is this whole week and change of Patrick Kane's coming. Everybody knew it. Gallant said that, the team was a little distracted, maybe not in those, I don't remember his exact words. I mean, the Rangers lost a couple games during the stretch, right? I mean, we lost to the Red Wings 4-1, lost to Washington 6-3. I think we lost the game right before that too. So, I mean, do you buy that excuse? I mean, these are professional players. I know they're going to get Patrick Kane, but it's not like they were going to lose a teammate, right? You get 3 straight losses, convincing losses, 4-1, 4-1, 6-3. You buy that excuse, Coach, being distracted about the rumors?
I mean, I don't know if there was no one in jeopardy on the roster of getting traded. I don't think, I don't know. They look really flat. I was getting scared watching that Detroit and Capitals game. I don't know how they lose to Detroit handily, and then Detroit loses to Ottawa twice. I know Ottawa's a good team, but they got killed. And the Rangers couldn't even put the puck in there. The Rangers had a lot of chances in that game, though. Really, it was a weird game. Again, their goalie, they made him look like an all-star goalie. I don't know. It was a tough game to watch as well.
Yeah, Mikey Produces. What do you think? Do you think by this the Rangers were distracted by the rumors, and you think they're turning it around now?
I mean, we're talking about professional hockey players, so at the end of the day, you're there to do one job, and that's to play hockey. So you can't let the outside world or the chatter affect your play on the ice. So I think it's a weak excuse, but I do see, hopefully starting tonight, definitely starting tomorrow when Kane's on the ice. I think they're going to have no choice but to turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you guys. That's my general view as well. But the only thing that makes me hesitate is there's just a lot of shenanigans going on along with the Kane rumors, right? Like, oh, we're playing with 4D, or this guy can't play. We need to send this guy down, send this guy up, whatever.
Yeah, but that wasn't against Washington, was it?
It didn't really happen until the end of the week. I think against Washington there were some shenanigans, but it wasn't that they didn't play. But I think they had to call up Carpenter or something. I don't remember.
I don't know, to come out and play that flat. I could see them losing because of that, but that was unwatchable. That wasn't even. That was like the Rangers 4 years ago.
Did they?
It was terrible.
Did they come out? First of all, I don't know about you guys, but I think that was a dirty hit on Lindgren from Yoshi. But have they come out and said what his injury was yet, or no?
No, upper body, day to day, which could mean 6 weeks. It could mean he's back next game. We have no idea.
Well, he had the sling on, you said, so I'm going to guess it was a shoulder.
Well, then it was off. It was on after the game, and then it was off in that video Eddie sent, right? One of our fans actually pointed it out to Eddie and said, hey, look, Lindgren's got no sling on.
Yeah. So
he'll be back. I'm not worried about it. He gets hurt. He gets hurt like that every year. So as far as the hit, forget the injury, the hit, I personally agreed with, I understood Subban's point that you can't put yourself in a vulnerable position like that as a defenseman when you're trying to hit that red line. I mean, I played defense. I understand that point. Like, yes, you got to take the hit. You got to be prepared to take a hit there and not put your body in a position to get crunched, 2 feet from the boards. But also, I've played forward, and like, if you see a player who's in that vulnerable position, you don't go and just take advantage of that and hit them either. Like, you shouldn't do that either. So there's both. I see Messier's point as well, that I still think it was a dirty hit by Oshie because he had plenty of time to see Lindgren was in the vulnerable position before he threw the hit. It wasn't like a last minute thing. That's what bothered me. If he was going to hit him and then Lindgren like turned his body and moved away from the boards and then fell into it, I wouldn't blame Oshie really, but he had time. Coach, I don't know your thoughts on it. I mean, so Lindgren's rushing up. If you don't remember, he's rushing up to dump it in.
I remember the whole play. I watched the between periods with Messier and PK. I thought Messier was going to give him a left jab. He couldn't wait for PK to shut up.
PK talks over him a little bit.
Yeah, and Messier was just like he was like, "All right, you done?" And
he said, "You must have not been watching the NHL the last couple of years because that's the exact kind of hit they're trying to get out of the game."
No, he said apparently towards the end of your career, you don't know what the NHL's been trying to do, meaning with his slew footing and shit. He was giving him a shot. But
Messier shouldn't be giving anyone a shot because he's the one who elbowed Mike Modano that time when he wasn't even looking, sent him off on a stretcher.
Well, PK could have came back with shit like that, but what Messier's point was the NHL now. Yeah. The way it is now. And Oshie could have hit him and not killed him. He could have made his point. That could have been a charge. It could have been a hit from behind. It could have been multiple things.
It should have been a 5-minute penalty for boarding, in my opinion.
Yeah,
it was
could
a
have been
dangerous hit.
Whether he put look, we've discussed this before. Whether or not the guy puts himself in a vulnerable position, they still get 5-minute majors.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. So Lindgren, learn your lesson. Don't pay attention. But also, like, you got to blame Oshie. You can't blame Lindgren for that. You just can't. Like, at the end of the day, Oshie could have chose not to hit him, and he did. And that's what makes it, in my mind, intentional.
And to me, as a fellow player, you should have a little bit of respect to say, I don't want to hurt this guy, and put, his neck went against the boards. Like, he could have really got hurt there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you hit him a little softer.
That's what I'm saying. He could have held up a little bit, rubbed him out, made his point that, next time you cross the red line to try to dump it in, this is what you're getting. But he didn't have to hurt him like that.
And then at a face-off dot, he could have been like, dude, you can't, next time you do that, like, I'm going to run you through the boards. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I laid up on that hit, but I'm not trying to hurt you, but you're putting yourself in a bad position there. I could have, you could have, razzed him a little, but Lindgren would have got the message.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, we're asking hockey players to be good people. So kind of a stretch here. All right. Keandre Miller. Let's talk about this, coach. Spitting on Drew Doughty. This is gonna lead into our coach's corner. So why don't we just jump right into coach's corner with Coach Ed?
All right, boys, bring it in.
So, Coach, the Rangers are playing with a shortened bench, right? We talked about this. Schneider's not playing. Lindgren's is hurt, right? Keandre Miller gets into a scuffle behind the net, and he claims it was accidental that he spit on Doughty, but he spits right in his face while looking at him. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say whether it was accidental or not. Heat of the moment. I like Miller. I think he's a good kid. I don't think he has a bad reputation or anything. But just from a coaching perspective, your player does this. He then gets ejected from the game, and now you're down to 4D. You're already down to 5D. You're playing like you said, a team with cup aspirations, or at least an aspirations to make a run here, and a good team. Like, what do you do there?
That's a frustrating point. I mean, what do you ask me? What do you do? You're saying, do we play Schneider?
Well, number one, do you go with the 4D? That's Drury's orders, probably, right? That's probably not even Gallant's orders.
Probably had no choice, and Gallant knows the situation. I'm sure Drury said,
don't play him.
In order to get Kane, unless we're down to 2D or something, I'm sure there was a situation that they discussed. You have no choice, really. I mean, you're going to tap your guys on the shoulder or get in between peers and say, guys, we really need you to step it up. Don't take the chances. Don't overskate the puck. Lay back a little bit, pick your spot, so on and so forth. And these guys are all professionals. They should know. I mean, you got a guy like Harper and Mikkola who are those type of players anyway, where they're not going to rush the puck. So it's more, Fox isn't going to overskate either. He's a smart player. And obviously they finished the game and they did really well with it.
Yeah, so then the other side of that is, how do you handle Keandre Miller, right? Miller got a 3-game suspension from the NHL, which is the precedent set by the Garnett Hathaway spitting incident a few years ago. So he gets 3 games. So now he's out of the lineup. Lindgren's hurt. Now you're playing with 5D. Is there any kind of, I don't know, punishment? I don't know what the right word is. Is there any repercussions for Miller if you're the coach?
I don't think so. I mean, they know they have a hands-on situation with his attitude and his demeanor. I don't think he's that type of player. I'm a little shocked by him when I saw the replay. I forget where I heard that he said it was in Doughty kind of skated away. I think Eddie had the angle of another play where he kind of like turned his back and then he turned away from him and then he came back in the spitting motion, kind of like on Seinfeld with the second spitter. But like Rupper said, you still got to be responsible. If you're in a group of players, you can't just be spitting. There was 4 or 5 guys in that scrum, standing there, and you just don't spit. I mean, it's not allowed. Maybe it was just a nervous reaction. I don't know. I didn't, we'd have to hear the whole situation. I mean, Gallant was like motioning his hand like Dowdy was mouthing off, and then turned back and started chat. I don't know. We don't really know what went on. They're not going to tell us everything, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was definitely like a reflex almost. I
Right.
think you are right. I don't think he intentionally meant to spit directly on him.
I
I think he
mean-
was.
I mean, he looked right at him. I don't know. I watched the replay a bunch of times, but I think if I'm the coach, it's probably different than if you're the coach. Probably different than if Gallant's the coach. So I was more curious what you would do if you were Gallant, not what Gallant would do.
I mean, what I would do, I mean, like I said, he doesn't have a past history of doing this kind of stuff. He's got no history in college of doing it. I think it was just a reaction that happened, a nervous thing that happened in that situation. It happened, and he's going to move on with it. I'm sure they talked to him, and Keandre had a face-to-face meeting with Dowdy after the game and apologized. He was happy
Yep.
that met with him, and I think it's going to be over. I don't think that's him. I hope it's not him. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, I don't think that's him either. I agree, and I think I think you got to have a stern talk with him though, right? And be like, dude,
I'm
like,
sure.
you got to have game awareness and situational awareness. Like, you cannot make that kind of mistake when we're playing short. Yeah, you shouldn't do it ever, but like, especially like now we're playing short for 4 games. We're trying to make the playoffs. We're trying to catch New Jersey and get home ice advantage. We're trying to do this. We're trying to do that. I think it was a pretty big mistake by Miller. I don't think he's the type of person that would spit on somebody. So yeah, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. By all accounts, he's a great kid.
Big learning experience. I doubt he ever does that again in his career. Puts his team in a vulnerable position like that.
Well, I sure as hell hope not. I mean, if spitting instances, unless you're Keith Jones or Esa Tikkanen, I think are probably limited to 1 per career, spitting on a player. But anyway, all right. So that's Coach's Corner with Coach Ed. Let's shift over to our stars of the week. All right, let's start with our offensive player of the week. I'm going to start with Mikey Produces. I don't think I ever start with you, and I don't think it's fair to you. So I'm going to start with you. Who's your offensive player of the week?
Giving it to Vinny T. Those 2 goals against LA. He had a goal against Detroit. Like you said, I think he just surpassed Mr. Filipino, 3rd on the team with goals. So
tied him.
Definitely deserves some loves.
He tied him and passed him. I just actually, because I looked, it was Trocheck, Panarin, and Hedl are all tied for 3rd in goals right now. So, yeah, Trocheck across the board, Coach. I saw you had him too. We already talked about him. Is there anything else you want to add on Troch?
No, I mean, obviously, you look at the stats in those 2 bad games. He was still part of it, and he had the 2 big goals against LA. He actually could have had a hat trick almost right after that 2nd goal, if I remember correctly. He had a nice try there.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to our defensive player of the week. I'll start this one off. I just can't believe this guy played 29 minutes, so I'm just giving it to him for that. Trubes for Mikey Produces. Coach.
I'm going with all 4 D-men.
I wanted to do that.
The 4 versus LA.
You had 4 D-men, 2 of them who never played that many minutes in their life, in a professional life.
Yeah.
All up, Mikkola had 25 plus, Harper 28. I couldn't believe it when I saw that.
I know.
And
Harper played more than Fox.
Against a team like Anaheim with Kopitar, Fiala. Fiala, right? Is on the team.
Fiala, yep.
I mean, Kempe. I mean, they have a pretty good team up front, and to play 4 D-men against that team. I mean, kudos to the forwards too. I'm sure they have a big part of it, helping out down low, back checking and whatnot. But I got to give it to the 4D stepping up in that game when Keandre went down.
I agree. That's a good pick, Coach, because it's all 4D for the defensive player of the week. The reason I agree is because my key contributor is the 4D versus LA.
And I have Harper as the key contributor for that 28 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Guy
funny.
who he wasn't even playing until they were doing all this cap. He was out of the lineup since they got Mikola. You know,
Yeah.
and to step in, even against Washington, he was playing forward against Washington.
Yeah.
They put him out as forward. He was mixing it up, trying to stir the pot a little bit. I mean, I got to give him credit for just stepping in and doing what he's got to do.
Well, he's playing for his career, right? I mean,
all right,
he's just
well,
like, whatever.
You know, he's doing it. 28 minutes.
Yeah. So you got Harper. I got all 4D. Mikey Produces. Who'd you take?
I gave it to Laffy Taffy, key contributor for this week. I just love the way Laffy's been playing.
I like that.
He's really been playing well. I'm glad because we were really getting tired of the fans just being so negative and not being patient at all. Again, there's a difference between being critical and being, impatient. Like you got to be patient, Laffy. You got to be patient. You can be critical of his play, but you have to understand that it's coming. It's going to come. Coach has always tried to get me grounded to think that way. So that's why I've come in my older age to be a little less impatient with players.
Just a little bit. I'm not patient with a lot of things, but just a little bit.
Well, you're not patient with Kraftsov or Hedel, but lucky for you, Kraftsov will end his career in your doghouse. So, all right. Highlight play of the week, Coach. What you got?
Unfortunately, I'm going to say we didn't really. There was nothing against Washington. The Red Wings was another
nothing
dismal game, and we didn't really get to sit and watch the LA game. We were watching it, but we were having a nice dinner with everybody, and I don't really have one.
Did you have that? Was Hazen at that nice dinner? Hansel
was there. Your sister was there. Eddie.
Did he wear suede?
He had his suede boots on.
Well, my highlight play.
He sat in the chair with his legs crossed.
Is not a play, but a trade. Patrick Kane. Because there's no play that's a highlight play. I watched all the games. Well, I missed the Red Wings game, but 4-1, I presume nothing happened there. And they're just, even those 5 goals, I get it. Like, maybe one of the Trocheck goals, he had a nice snipe. I mean, I don't know. But the Kane trade is the highlight of the week. So that's my pick.
I gave it to I actually like the Kakko's goal against Washington.
The third goal,
yeah. Kreider's pass to Kakko and Kakko just putting it in. I thought it was a nice play, so I gave it to him.
It was. There was 30 seconds left in a 6-2 loss, though, so it's kind of hard to give it a highlight. A 6-3 loss, sorry. But it was 6-2 at the time with 30 seconds left. All right, so Mikey gives it to the Kreider pass to Kakko and the finish on his goal against the Capitals. All right. Coach Ed's Copyright Doghouse Award. And this is sponsored by Suiter's Sweet Treats. Check them out on Etsy. Check them out on Instagram. Unbelievable cookies. I just got something in the mail. I actually left it downstairs like an idiot, though. So I can go get it real quick. Oh, you got yours. Okay. So it was sent to everyone. So look at this beautiful, beautiful thing that was sent to us. Look at this. Our name on the top. Mine says Cousin Ed. The cookies in a shadow box. Mailed to my house. So I had to leave for an emergency last week. As you fans know, I wasn't here. I come back and there's a box outside. And my wife's like, "What'd you order?" And I'm like, "I didn't order anything. I have no idea." She's like, "This is it's from that Suiter's Sweet Treats." And I was like, "Oh," so I'm like, "All right." She's like, "Can I open it?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What the hell is in there? This box is huge." I'm like, "Did she send me like pound of cookies, you know? And then I saw that and I was just like, wow, how thoughtful. You know, like seriously, we talk about it on the episode. Just very thoughtful. I'm really appreciative because now and she
Meg
put a note.
killed it.
Yeah, Meg put a note in there for me. Don't worry, now you can eat the other cookies. So now I can eat the other cookies. She also sent me a Cousin Ed one. Jersey that says Cousin Ed 19 on it. I might swap that into the shadow box. Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't become part of the curse.
Oh shit! I'm cursing myself. Cursing myself.
I mean, there's only one thing she didn't do on that shadow box. We should have put on the bottom in case of emergency, break glass.
Yeah.
You can write it.
I know, but unbelievable. What a surprise. I mean, again, we give her accolades every week. What a great job.
Yeah.
So get some orders out there, fans. Take care of Meg for us. I have to do it myself.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, Coach Ed's Doghouse. Coach Ed, last week you had I don't know if you guys did episode 94. I don't have notes on that. Did you? Did you do Stars of the Week last week?
Yes,
okay.
I did.
Well, why didn't you write it down, Mikey?
And I won the trivia.
Yeah.
So I'm going by episode 93, and you're going to have to tell me what you did last week. So, Coach, episode 93, you had Kreider 1 foot in and Kravtsov in. Last week, did you take Kravtsov out?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I traced the board before we started. I didn't realize it.
Oh,
Mike,
God.
I think you definitely took Kreider's foot out, and I'm pretty sure you took Kravtsov out.
Well, he took him out because he wanted to trade him.
Well, great. Yeah, Kravtsov's traded, so he's out anyway.
Yeah, all right, so he's out. And who's in your doghouse this week?
Well, you're back in because, first of all, you have Halak as getting the win against LA.
All right, so I'm in for errors in the outline. Got it.
You have no Excel spreadsheet this week.
I've been a little busy, Coach. I'm sorry.
And you also
doing my
have,
best.
you also have in the general topics, you have fights, none. And Goodrow actually fought Oshie after that play.
Oh, that's right. He did.
So, you know, you're dropping the ball a little bit. We're all busy. We all have to do our job anyway. So,
all right, Cousin Ed for his out.
I'm gonna say you were flabbergasted by all the trades. So you didn't go through it thoroughly with the way, you know.
I was. The free time that I had today, I focused on the trades. I didn't
right.
really...
So you like the Rangers were distracted by the trades in those couple of games.
But I don't get a break. I get thrown in the doghouse.
Well, you get in the doghouse. You got to get out. But I'm giving it to the main one. Keandre's going in. Even though, other than the spitting incident, the Washington game, I thought he was lost.
Yeah.
I'm going to say at least 2 of the goals were directly his fault, where that shouldn't have been. And the spitting incident just solidifies it. He's in the doghouse.
Yep, he's in my doghouse too. Definitely. I have Miller in there. So, Mikey, what about you?
Yeah, I got Miller in there. Last week during episode 94, I had also put Igor in the doghouse. He is turning it around somewhat, but not enough for me to take him out. So,
did you take
Miller,
yourself
Igor?
out?
No, me, myself, Miller, Igor, and the laptop will all be in the doghouse. We could watch the spitting incident. We could watch tape. We could do it all and get ready for tomorrow night.
You know, I gotta say I really like the Shesterkin pick. I would like to amend mine to also put him in, but he did win against LA, so I'll leave him out. But I do like him being in there. He's got to be better. It's going to become an issue if he doesn't come around, but I think he will.
Look, it's like every other player in the playoffs. If Zibanejad doesn't score in the playoffs, everybody's like, we need our best players to be the best in the playoffs. Same thing with him. He's got to be at his best. Mediocrity is not acceptable going into the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up Stars of the Week. We are not doing a 150 because we brought Mikey P on to do that live over an hour of trade talk. So let's jump right into the trivia.
So last week we did do trivia. All right, but we didn't give out any points because obviously you weren't on. So this is going to be a fun trivia. This isn't worth any points.
Oh, to even it out.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fair.
Oh, wow. Look at you guys being honest and shit. Like, wow. Shocked.
What two players did the New York Rangers acquire from the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for Tony Amonte on March 21st, 1994?
That's not fair.
Coach, you should know this.
What do you got, Coach?
Aha, he's wrong.
You got one of them right.
Who was it, Matteau?
Yeah. Matteau and Noonan.
What a terrible trade. Imagine. I know.
They won the cup.
Yeah, but do you think they wouldn't have won the cup if they had Tony Amonte, Mike Gartner, Doug Waite instead of Esa Tikkanen, Glenn Anderson, Brian Noonan, and Stefan Matteau?
We don't know.
God, those guys are Hall of Famers, right? Doug Waite, is he Hall of Famer? He's close.
We don't know if they would have won. The fact is they did win with those moves, so that's all you could go by.
Only one.
Larmer was definitely, to me, one of the keys.
Larmer they got from Hartford earlier in the season, not at the deadline, because he went to Hartford from Chicago and then to the Rangers for Darren Turcotte, I think. Mikey, look that up real quick before we wrap up the episode. Right? Look up Steve Larmer trade to Rangers and see what the trade was. I think it was Darren Turcotte. Was it just him? It might have been more than just Turcotte, but he went. I think he left. He was another good player, Turcotte. He was pretty good. But all right, well, hopefully the Rangers beat up on the Flyers. I haven't had a chance to watch. I'm sure you guys are. They should beat up on the Flyers. Freaking ridiculous.
I mean, I only saw the first 10 minutes and then we started, so.
Yeah, I mean, so that'll be in next week's episode. Definitely, I think they got to win these games against these bad teams. We're trying to catch, New Jersey, so we'll see what happens. But and also for Little Ed, he's there. We know at least the Flyers scored one goal because he told us. So, all right. So we'll be back next week. We'll recap the games. We got, who do we got coming up this week?
Ottawa
Thursday night, Patrick Kane's debut. So fans, make sure you tune in for that. Honestly, was hoping he would play tonight and we would record after the game so we could talk about it. But we'll do that next week. And then we play Boston on Saturday, so that'll be a nice test. It's in Boston at 1:00, nice afternoon game on Saturday, and then we're off for 5 days, and they play the Canadiens. So we'll catch you up next week with the Flyers, the Senators, and the Bruins. And other than that, enjoy the trade deadline on Friday.
Thanks a lot, fans. Thanks you for everything. Thanks to all our sponsors, Meg, Oscar, everybody. Fans, go reach out, get your jerseys, get your cookies.
Yeah, for sure. Meg and Oscar, awesome. Thank you guys both so much for everything you do. And fans, thank you for your support. It's good to be back. I missed you guys last week. Let's go Rangers. Enjoy the game, fellas.
Yeah, thanks for everybody. Thanks to everybody, you guys too, for doing a great job with this.
Except with the outline.
Yeah, well, we also didn't do jersey numbers, did we?
No, I skipped it. I was too excited. With number 95 was Vinny Lettieri. He was the only Ranger to ever wear number 95.
I mean, we put Oscar's pro stitch up, but we didn't discuss the number.
That's true. I didn't say it. I went right to Patrick Kane. I was like, how do you not? I've been anxious
I mean, under pressure, Ed, you just folded. You just
completely bombed.
Tomorrow night. Any predictions for Kane's debut? What we got? 3 points. A goal, 2 assists. What do we got?
I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna say that he 3 assists. I'm gonna go bold. No, I don't think he scores, but I think he gets 3 assists. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I'm going with a 3-point game, a goal and 2 assists.
I'm going with 2 goals, 1 assist.
All right, so we all got a 3-point game, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm sure Little Ed would then be like, all right, I guess I'll take a hat trick, right? I wanted to tell you guys also, I don't know if you guys knew, but I'm coming to New York March 18th. I'm going to the Penguins game. the Garden. So I'll be in New York that weekend. It's my birthday, FYI. So we'll see if we can get tickets and get to the game.
Yeah, definitely.
So that'll be fun. It'd be good to go to New York finally this year. It's been a little hard for me to travel, get to the Garden. I haven't been to the Garden this season. And there's something else I wanted to tell you. My brain just fried because Coach is razzing me about the outline. Never mind. Whatever. All right.
You're gonna bring your stuff. Maybe we can get an outdoor game in if the weather holds up.
I don't think we're gonna have time for that. I really don't. But if I can, what can I do? Check it? You think? Just bring my whole bag. Just check the bag.
That's time.
No, I didn't. I just brought. I used your like extra gloves, skates, and helmet, and I just went to your practice. We didn't do the outdoor game. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll see. Maybe that'd be fun.
Maybe you can just pack your skates.
Yeah, maybe I could just throw my skates in and we can get on the ice somewhere. That'd be fun.
All right, fellas. Great work.
All right.
Good job, guys.
Thanks, boys.
All right. Have a good night.
Love you
Good night,
guys.
guys. Love you guys.